one of the things that we wanted to talk to you about, Ankur, is about relationships, right? And I think more than asking a question about you, I think the first question that we want to talk about is actually a question around Shaurya. Now, for those who are not familiar with Shaurya, Shaurya is your colleague. He's 25 years old, and in all conventional ways, he's fairly very successful, right? He earns an 8-figure now. He's just gifted his father a BMW at the age of 25, so he's doing very, very well. But you also say that he wasn't the best of himself in the last 4 years, right? He wanted to get into IIT, attempted twice, didn't do well. And I think that was his dream and his father's dream as well. But today, 4 years, cut to 4 years, he's doing fantastically well. But then you mentioned that he lost his cat. And that's all it took for him to come to you and say that, Ankur, I'm willing to start all over it again if it takes for me to get my cat back. What do you think that tells us about relationships, love, and what truly matters to us as human beings?
It's such a fascinating start. There was a reason I started the book with this story, because I am not a pet person at all. I frankly do not, while it's a politically incorrect thing to say, I can't relate to pet parents.
Yeah.
And I can't relate why you would love an animal more than you could love humans.
Right.
But when I saw that happen to Shaurya, and he's a very objective guy, he loves numbers, he's just data driven and all of that, it almost comes as if he's emotionless. And he's sobbing, he's sitting on the floor, he's like, I've lost, the cat's name is Kittu. I've lost Kittu, I don't know if she'll ever come back. And I'm willing to go down to that day when I didn't make it to IIT and I felt like an absolute failure and I didn't know whether my life will ever work out or not. And willing to relive my life all over again if I were to get her back. It just told me what I have come to believe all along, that relationships is frankly everything that it boils down to. The reason why we all show up, of course, it's money, but at the end of it, it's trying to prove in some way a meaningful existence towards our own self, towards the people that we care about, towards showing that we matter, towards showing that they matter. And at the end of it, everything is about people. And as much as you would have AI and as much as you would have a world created in virtual reality and blah, blah, I don't think this innate thing is ever going to go away, which is we are ultimately people and we are all about people. And money and everything else is frankly just a segue to that somehow.
Wow. That's
So building off of what you said, how does one actually live a full life, or what is the point of life? Like, I feel like the world is always telling young people so many contradictory things, you know, that be giving but put yourself first, think about the future but live in the moment. So how should we navigate issues like this?
The first thing is, which is what the book was, you cannot live life without winning over people, because ultimately when you win over people, and not by force, but by trust, by consistency and so on, you make life easier for you. But in the process, you cannot afford to lose yourself. And unfortunately, the world that we have all been raised in, certainly your parents were, is that you have to be all submissive. Particularly women have been told, you have to put somebody else first. You have to feed the family before you feed yourself. You have to wake up before everyone else wakes up. You have to get the house ready before the house shows up to be ready for itself. You have to sacrifice your career, your life, to be able to have somebody else go through their career, their life. And that's just ingrained, and it becomes conditioning over years and years and years, to the point where they believe that that is the right way to live. And in some way they justify that. They're like, you know what, I find so much happiness in the fact that I am sacrificing for somebody else's life, and I go to bed sleeping really well, knowing that my life is worthy because somebody else's life is better because of mine. And that sounds really, really nice until they perhaps reach their deathbed, and there is just layers and layers and years of regret where they wish they had lived for themselves. And it's fascinating. I don't know if you've heard of this. There was this nurse who was stationed at the hospice where she was just attending to people who were terminally sick and were about to just go. And she wrote this fascinating book, I forget the name of the book, where she was like, these are the 5 things that consistently people who went kept saying. And number 1 was, I wish I had listened to myself more than I did. And that basically means they just lost themselves. They just lost themselves in the entire journey. So when people tell you, this is the way to live life, they're basically telling you, this is the way that I have lived life. They're not telling you this is the right way of living life. They're just saying, this worked out for me. And I don't have any other choice, by the way. So I can't even give you another alternative. Like a doctor will maybe a doctor will actually. A doctor will say, it's a great noble profession to be in. Every day when you go to bed, you know that you save someone's life. But if you really ask them, maybe they'll be like, you know what, it's too hard of a life. And maybe if I have kids, I'll tell them, don't be doctors. While I would love for them to be doctors because it comes with a grander purpose, just don't be doctors. You're better off being engineers or lawyers or something slightly easier than this. And that's the same thing that the parents are. Now, they wish they can tell you, go and live your life. Don't care about anybody else. Don't care about anything. Certainly not people's opinions. Draft a life for yourself. You will falter, you will fail, but you will navigate and learn from your mistakes. But do not pander to anybody else. Just listen to yourself. But they haven't done that all their lives. So they have no right to say that. And it almost comes from a hypocritical point of view, which is why they will never tell you that. And they'll be much rather, no, listen to others, listen to your elders, listen to so on. I tell them, which is what I will tell you, is use elders as a bouncing board for things you haven't experienced yet. Don't think of it as the gospel. Don't think of it as God's word. Just think of it as somebody who's experienced life more than you have. So maybe they've seen something that you haven't, and dig them on that. Like, if I do make this journey, what's likely to happen? Just tell me your thoughts. They needn't be right or wrong. I just want to hear. And if you speak to as many people as you can who are more experienced, you'll just get points of view, but you decide what you want to do. वो हिंदी में कहावत है ना, सुनो सबकी करो खुद की. That's exactly what I would say.
Thank you.
You know, based on what you just said right now also, that you say in your book that the toughest part of life is actually people and your relationships. And I'm interested in interpersonal relationships and how, you know, one can strengthen them. But I was wondering, what do you think, or how can the other in your life play a role in building your own self-confidence? Do you think there is a relationship between these two things?
There certainly is. I think we are all influenced by the company we keep. And certainly, if it's your partner, if it's your close friend, even if they are your parents, the kind of relationship that they have is going to meaningfully impact the relationship you have with yourself. I have found in my own personal experience, the strongest, the right word would be the most healthy relationships that I've had, where I've genuinely felt that the other side is invested in me, is when they have not tried to prescribe anything. They've not told me, ye karo, ye karo, ye karo. They've not told me this is right, this is wrong. They've simply said, do your thing. And even if it doesn't work out, I'm always going to be here. And that's the confidence that you need. I'll take you to 3 Idiots. All seen it? Last scene. Farhan, speaking to his dad. He's not saying, please allow me the permission to become a photographer. He's not saying, I know that I'm a kick-ass photographer and I'll just rock it. He's not saying, oh, I hate you for not allowing you to be one, blah, blah, blah. He's basically saying, I know that I'm not going to earn as much as others. I know that I'll not have a house as big as theirs. I know that I will not earn as much money as I am. But I want to do this, and I just want you to be happy with what I do. What I love about that conversation, which I don't think too many people read into it the way that I did, is he was asking his dad permission to fail. He was saying, I most likely will fail at this in the quintessential definition of the world's definition. But I just want you to know that even if I fail, you'll still be proud of me and treat me like your son. And if you give me that confidence, I will crush it. And that's all that it took. That's all that it took. So the best relationships you will have are not the ones that will tell you this. They'll just be like, do your thing. We don't know any better. But you will never do anything that will make us not believe in you. Go out and do it. And then when you have that, then the rest of the world doesn't matter.
So in our world, connections has become a buzzword. We go to events to make connections. We want a job through connections, get some work done through connections. Now what that essentially means is that, we are viewing other people as means to our own end. So do you share my concern about, relationships becoming more contractual, more about, what am I going to gain from the other person?
That is often the starting point, but the way that I've seen this pan out in the real world is all transactional relationships at some point of time fail because they're transactional in nature, and the transaction wasn't coded on paper. It's not like you met me and you're like, hey, at some point in time in the future, I'm going to call you and ask you for a job, and I'm going to do everything in between to impress you so that when I do ask you for a job, you will say yes. Okay, and that's a transaction. We're good? And I'll be like, yeah, we're good. That never happens. So you come in and just try to impress. I get impressed because you are impressive. And at some point in time, you'll just assume that that will lead to me saying yes for a transaction that you wanted out of it. But the best relationships are the ones that don't have any such expectation. You're just being yourself, and I will see you for who you are. And because you're good for the purpose that I see in you, I will always say yes, should you just one fine day spring up a conversation. So I've had so many instances where, let's say, youngsters have come in and they're like, Ankur, I'm looking for a job. I'm not sure whether I want to do a full-time or a freelancing gig and so on. And I'm really good with, say, video editing, but I don't know whether that is the right thing for me or not. And because I've been in that person's, let's say, conversation for a while, I know that person means well, I know that they have right intent and so on. It doesn't take me anything to say, you know what, why don't you try at our place itself? Just see, because I have nothing to lose, you have nothing to lose. And if we find that you are really good with what you claim you are, we might just benefit from it, and so will you. And this happens completely uninitiated. It's not that he sprung up that because he was playing chess in his mind that I will get to that point and ask him to join me. It just happened because he was sharing completely without expectations. And those are the best relationships to build. So I often say this, please connect with people almost on a daily basis with zero expectations of what they can give you back. And you'll be surprised that when you do need something from them, you wouldn't even have to ask, and they'll offer it to you.